Hello everybody, in this lecture, this is Madhu Shakya. In this lecture, we'll be learning how to join an external data into a ArcGIS shapefile. So I open the ArcGIS map, any general map, and let it open for a while. So this is where we left off last time. So I'm gonna switch to the data view and get to bookmarks, mainland, United States, and I'm going to check all counties at this point. Get rid of this selection. Now let's look at the attribute table for now. Now in the attribute tables, if you see, we need a key column or something to join to. So in this case, if you see, this is the state code, and then we have the county FIP code together when they concatenated. So 31,000 plus 109 becomes 31109. So in this case, it's the GeoID that I can use to join the dataset if I was to have a dataset that has a data by county. So this is the state code. Within each state code, there's a county. So if you were to look only by county, it may so happen that there are multiple counties with the same number in the United States. But if you were to look for a particular county in any given state, they would be unique numbers. So this GeoID, which is concatenate form of state, EFP, and county codes, this GeoID becomes a unique ID to join to. Now, what I'm going to do is, because at this point I do not know what type this is, so if I was to go for the properties, it says string, so which means this is a text. This is a number stored as text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new field as double, and I'm going to call this as GeoID as number. So that no matter how my data set that I'm going to join this with is, I will always have an option to join with text, and I'll have an option to join with numbers. So I would go to field calculator and click yes, and I'm going to say GeoID times 1. Okay, I need not do this multiplication of 1 because the property of this column I've already created as a double. Double is a number. Double means that there's a number to the left of the decimal and there's a number to the right of the decimal. But just to be as a safe side, anything that is multiplied by 1, theoretically, if it does not get converted, should give me error, and if it the only successful case will be when it does get converted. So it gives me a sure shot way of knowing that my result is a number. So I click OK, and we give a couple of seconds. So now I see that GeoID, couple of numbers if you want to check, that 46009. Now this was stored, this was adjusted to the left of the cell, and this is adjusted to the right of the cell. This is another indication, just like spreadsheet, that this is the number stored as number, and this is the number stored as text. Okay, so this is as much we want to know about the GIS shapefile. Now we want to get some data. Let's say if we want to project the production data for any particular crop by county. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Google for NAS stats, or I can also say let's say USDA NAS stats. I mean it'll take you the same thing. Then I go to this quick stats. So make sure this is HTTPS nas.usda. So US Department of Agriculture has a subdivision or a branch that says National Agriculture Statistics Service homepage. So hold on to control, left click, that takes me to this page. Now, then let's say if I, which one do I want to go? I want to go, let's say, quick stats. This one, come on. So at this point, I want to select, let's say, survey, and I want to choose, let's say, if I'm interested in crops, so I'm going to choose crops, and within the crops, I'm interested in field crops. Then within field crops, I'm going to choose corn, and then let's say I want to choose the production measured in dollars or in bushels or in pounds. So I want to see the production, let's say, which one would be least unambiguous. Let's say corn grain. I'll be looking for corn grain. Okay, so I have corn grain, dollar per bushel. So this would be yield, or a proxy for yield. Now there will also be something where they do give you the yield, but I want, let's say, a volume type of data set. So at this point, let me say I choose corn production measured in bushels, and I want to use county data set. So then it'll give me the corn production measured in bushels by county, and I'm going to select the year. The latest year available to me is, let's say, 2016. Okay, at this point I want to see a sample of data set. When I click get data here at the bottom left, now I see this is how my data is going to look like. So I want to see if this is going to get joined with my shapefile. So I'm looking for that GeoID type of unique number for each county. So let's say this is where our GeoID was. So if I wanted to bring this thing over here, oops, yep, like that, and such that if I wanted to go here, county Alabama, so this is my state ANSI code. This is the latest standard, so instead of FIPS code they are called ANSI. It's an acronym. So I have the state ANSI again here. I have the agricultural code, district code. That's not, I have the county. So if I was to download this data, then I can concatenate state code and county ANSI code to get my unique number. So at this point I'm satisfied with the way the data is. I'm going to ask for spreadsheet dataset, which gets downloaded as CSV format. I go for folder, and I'm going to bring this dataset into my, oops, so this is where I am. I'm going to create let's say within downloaded data, I usually keep non-GIS data separate, so why don't I create a, I'm going to create a new data set saying non-GIS data set. Within non-GIS, I'm going to call this same format. Yeah, okay. Inputs, downloaded, outputs, and workspace. And I want this to be separate. So let me go one more up at this point. Because I want to move the folder, I will have to create this, close this map. Cancel. I want to save this as a new one, and I'm going to give this a new name for. Now I can close this. So within this, I'm going to create a folder named GIS, and I'm going to put everything other than the non-GIS folder in here, such that when I go back up one level, I have two folders now, GIS and non-GIS. Within GIS I have input, output, spreadsheet and so on, and within non-GIS I have input, output, workspace and download. Now this will be useful moving forward if you were to use any data manipulation software running statistical package like SAS. So from now onwards, this is where I'm going to put my non-GIS type of data set. So I want to bring, where was I? I was here. So I'm going to go to the folder and copy, and I'm going to paste this here. So if you see, this is how my non-GIS folder looks like. I'm going to open this, and this is how my GIS folder looks like, yeah, for now. And I'm going to save the workspace place and then move this as save as, browse, and get to the workspace folder and then save it again, and I'll name this as corn 2016 working. So first things, I do need the production value. This is where, now let's say this was what again? This was corn grain production measured in bushels. So I'm going to type in as short as possible, corn grain production bushels. I don't need this, and I do not need anything up until this one. I may want to keep this in case I want to check my data set or compare. I may want to keep this, I may want to keep this. I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. So one thing also you need to know about is that when you bring into anything into GIS, it does not like certain reserve words. For example, year is a reserved word, site is a reserved word, and so on. And it also does not like any spaces in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these column labels, do Control H, and I'm going to say space needs to be replaced with underscore. I say replace all, makes 5 replacement. Now if you see all my columns, I select everything with shift column, then I double click on this margin, expands everything. Now all of my spaces are replaced with underscore. Now at this time I'm going to call as FFIPS codes. Well, the old times it used to be FIPS code, and so I repeat the first alphabet to make sure that this is the name that I gave, not the name that was given by the system. So this is nothing but the ANSI code as of now, but at this point I'm going to say state code times 1000, because there are 3 digits for the county codes. Yeah, so as of now, if this one reads as 47, this is actually 047. Okay, so want to make sure that that's exactly how it reads. So once I get to that, you hold Control C to copy. At this point, I use Control down arrow, gets to the last entry for the data set. I let go of the Control key. I come to the right arrow. Then I use Control Shift, and then I put up arrow, and then use Control V. This copies all of my data set. And if I do Control down again, I have about 1679 entries. Now this is the data set for the counties that were reported to the NAS. Okay, so at this point, I still have the formulas in them. So if I was to join at this point, it will give me errors. So what I'm going to do here is, again, Control Shift down arrow, Control C. I get back up, Control arrow, up arrow, right click, paste as values. Now I can save this. So this is what I'm going to say save. No, I don't need the data on the clipboard, which is the temporary memory. And I'm going to bring this, Control C, and I'm going to bring this into spreadsheet. The reason I do this is once I join the data set with the ArcGIS, and once my ArcGIS opens up, it will lock this file. So if I have to make any changes, I lose this file absolutely many times. So I do not trust it. So I always have a copy in the non-GIS folder in the workspace that I can go back to and modify it again and save it with a different name, and then bring it here in the GIS spreadsheet folder. And I've created a small folder within the spreadsheet for join. So at this point, I can go back here and get back to my ArcGIS document that I had saved earlier.